The Tampa Bay Times has been part of the Tampa Bay community for 140 years. We began in 1884 as a weekly newspaper called the West Hillsborough Times. Produced on a hand-cranked press in the back room of a local pharmacy, the West Hillsborough Times was 4 pages long and had a circulation of 480. By the turn of the 20th century, we had become the St. Petersburg Times, with a staff of 5 and an annual subscription rate of $1.50 a year. The Tampa Bay Times is the largest newspaper in the southeastern United States. Every week, our publications reach nearly 1 million people. Since 1964, we have won 14 Pulitzer Prizes. Newspaper in Education, or NIE, is an international program that promotes literacy by using the newspaper as a living textbook to teach subjects like history, civics, and geography. Since the 1970s, the Tampa Bay Times NIE program has served educators, students, families, and community members by providing class sets of the Tampa Bay Times, plus original educational publications, teacher guides, lesson plans, and educator workshops, all at no cost to schools, teachers, or families.
This project was really exciting because it gave us an opportunity to do one of our favorite things, which is introduce students to using primary sources. Primary sources are the raw materials of history. Newspapers are full of primary source material, including eyewitness accounts, interviews, photographs, and more. The goal of this project was to explore the historical, cultural, and economic significance of chocolate with a focus on Florida, and to connect students with their cultural history through a topic that resonates with them. To do this, we researched, wrote, designed, and produced an original curriculum supplement that examines the history, cultural significance, and economic impact of chocolate from the Olmecs to the present day. And the centerpiece of the supplement is a 4-page spread that examines how we can use primary source materials related to chocolate to understand 17th century Spanish colonial Florida.
Previous research by Luis Evan Gravetti and Beatriz Cabezon uncovered documents in the Spanish archives that identified Florida as the first documented landing point of chocolate in what would later become the United States. In 1641, the Spanish ship Nuestra Señora del Rosario y el Carmen was severely damaged in a hurricane in the Florida Straits and was forced to put in at the Spanish colony of St. Augustine on Florida's east coast. Her surviving cargo included more than 100 pounds of cacao, more than 1,000 pounds of chocolate, and dozens of items for preparing, serving, and drinking chocolate. The following year, the cargo was auctioned off. 1,167 pounds and 75 boxes of chocolate were distributed to 222 residents of the Presidio and the city of St. Augustine by order of the governor of the province of Florida. Because these residents are listed by name and occupation, the record of the chocolate distribution provides a fascinating window into St. Augustine society in the 17th century. First on the list is Father Juan Gomez, guardian of the convent of St. Augustine and Attorney General of the province of Florida. He received 232 pounds of chocolate, more than anyone else. Second on the list is Nicholas Ponce de Leon, who received 88.5 pounds. He would later become Sergeant Major of St. Augustine, an interim governor of Florida. The very last entry on the list is Captain Lopez, who received 12.5 pounds of the chocolate he saved from the sea. We were able to establish more details about the identity of several people on this list, but by far the most interesting information we found concerned the third person on the list, Francisco de la Rua, who received 27 pounds of chocolate. De la Rua was a wealthy Spaniard who was a captain in St. Augustine's infantry. Captain de la Rua lived in St. Augustine until his death in 1649. The records of de la Rua's estate survive in the Spanish archives. The estate included a house with a separate kitchen building, furniture made of mahogany, ebony, and cedar, weapons and tools, silver and china tableware, and fine clothing and linens. Captain de la Rua also owned 2 enslaved people. We also learned from this document that Captain de la Rua remained a devoted drinker of chocolate for the rest of his life. Among his many possessions were 3 jars filled with cacao beans, a metate, and mano for grinding them, and a silver-decorated cocoa, or chocolate drinking cup. Captain de la Rue's possessions were sold at auction after his death. The auction records, which list the sale prices and the names and positions of the buyers of each item, reveal so much about St. Augustine society. We couldn't wait for teachers to start using this in their classrooms. Once our curriculum supplement was ready for publication, it was time to get it printed. These printing presses are 3 stories tall and can print up to 55,000 newspapers per hour. Our publication started out as gigantic rolls of newsprint. Each roll weighs about 1 ton and has about 11 miles of usable newsprint. In the first step, a laser is used to etch an image of each page onto aluminum plates. These plates are mounted on the press. Rubber rollers ink the plates. The plates transfer their inked image to a printing blanket, which prints the image onto newsprint. Later, a different section of the machine cuts and assembles each copy. Conveyors carry the assembled copies to a different area of the printing plant, where they are bundled for delivery. Once bundled, the supplement is trucked from the printing plant to our distribution centers to be delivered to individual schools. In all, 80,000 copies were distributed to 369 elementary schools. The curriculum supplement is aligned with the Florida standards for students in grades 4 and 5, the years in which students study Florida history. The associated teacher guide includes additional background information, resources, and activities that can be used with older students. So far, teachers have used the materials as bell ringer activities, assigned reading, free reading, and assigned activities. We can't wait to see what else they come up with.